Welcome back. I'm Michael Bull, and this is the Commercial Real Estate Show. Today, we're talking retail with Mitch Roschelle and Stephen Barr. They're both with PwC. And Mitch, before the break, you mentioned that the REIT outlook might depend a little bit on what interest rates do. So what is your outlook? What does your crystal ball say about interest rates moving forward?
It's likely that we'll continue to see rates go up, meaning central bank, Fed moving rates up. The interesting thing is, look at where the 10-year now is. It's at historical lows. And if you look at the economic data that's coming out, virtually every day, I closely track housing and a lot of other economic indicators. Overwhelmingly, it's more good news than bad news. You can find bad news in any data point. So I think the Fed's going to have an abundance of news that's more positive than negative and consider pretty heavily continuing down the path of raising rates. But as recent history showed us, raising rates from the discount rate doesn't necessarily translate to the Treasury curve moving up.
Right. So here we are at July of 2016 as we do this show today. So if you had to guess, what would you look at maybe interest rates, Fed's rate a year from now?
I would say we have a chance of another 25 basis points in the calendar year, and maybe another 25 basis points. So let's say 50 basis points over the next 12 months or so. The problem is we also have an election between now and then, so we could find a new chair of the Fed, which may mean we're starting from scratch again. So we'll see. But I think the economy can certainly handle 50 basis points of tick up in the discount rate.
Right. And you mentioned the election. So do you think the election results, Hillary versus Trump, would have any impact on retail or retail real estate or commercial real estate?
One thing we can tell you, because we've taken a look at it from a real estate perspective, and I can't comment on retail, Steve can perhaps, but we've looked at about 25 years of, almost 30 years of U.S. history in terms of election outcomes and the performance of real estate based upon data that's out there that far from real estate perspective. And there's no trend in terms of how real estate has performed with red or blue or Republicans or Democrats or anything. The things that are moving the economy and markets seem to be independent of election outcomes per se. So I would say history is going to repeat itself, and there's not going to be anything in the near term that an election result is going to move the needle from real estate perspective. The economy and taxes and other things that will be debated may have a impact, but the election and real estate, I would say, no connection.
Yeah. And Mitch, we've done the same on the retail side. We've looked for trends in prior elections, and we just haven't been able to see any meaningful movement driven by the election themselves.
Well, that's interesting because I guess it really depends more on consumer confidence, right, and income levels and the job market than it really does, who's the president, right?
Right.
So where are there opportunities, gentlemen? You talked about, you're bullish on the retail market. Is it time to sell? Is it time to buy? Where are some opportunities?
Hey, Mitch, if it's okay, I'll jump in and then maybe
Sure.
you can follow.
Sure.
I won't speak whether it's a great time to get in from an investment standpoint or not, but what I can tell you is from a retail perspective, we're often talking about the battle with the online retailers. But the store-based retailers have a tremendous asset, and we're starting to see the leading retailers leverage that asset into a strategic advantage in competing against the online-only players. And so while we've heard the term omni-channel for a number of years, we're finally starting to see the execution at the true omni-channel level. So I'm actually very optimistic that the leading store-based retailers are going to be able to take that strategic asset and use it to their advantage. But they do have to give that compelling store offering that I've talked about earlier. So I think there's a lot of upside, but it's all going to get to whether the retailers execute.
So, Stephen, you think that a lot of these stores, a lot of these retailers then have moved a little slow in this process to take advantage of online, and that's where they have opportunities to kind of pick up that pace?
Yeah, they've not only moved very slowly, but they haven't been as strategic around leveraging the asset they have. They're located, in many convenient, well-placed locations, and they have to make sure they're leveraging that to their advantage. Folks still like to go to the store, and folks still like to engage and browse and do the things that shoppers do, but they just have to give the shopper the reason to come into the store, and we're starting to see that. We're also starting to see it on the distribution side, to be a strategic advantage for same day or very quick shipping.
Okay, and before you guys have to go, Mitch, I have to ask you about your new show. Tell us about 7-Day Yield.
So maybe imitation is the greatest form of flattery, Michael, but to say that you were and that you didn't play a role in inspiring me to do it wouldn't be fair to you. So we created a show in PwC. It's called 7-Day Yield because it comes out once a week. It's about a 15 to minutes show or so, and we bring guests on from thought leaders from within PwC, like Stephen, talking about retail, and also some of our clients. And we really try to tackle every week topics of interest to everywhere from the consumer to business insiders about the asset and wealth management space, financial services sector, and any sort of broader areas about things that are moving the economy. So we're 3 weeks in. If you want to find us, the best way to do it is hashtag 7DayYield, the number 7DayYield, and we'll be doing more there. And Michael,
gentlemen,
thanks for the plug.
Great, gentlemen. Thanks for being on the show, and stay tuned. We'll have more for you right after this break. The Commercial Real Estate Show is brought to you by Bull Realty, Asset and Occupancy Solutions, Xceligent, building data everywhere, Valuate, easily share what-if analysis with colleagues online, and First Service Solutions, your CMBS borrower advocate. For more information on how these businesses may be of service to you, visit creshow.com.